auto, handle my problems, I ain't scheme.
Yo, welcome back, Pacer Nation, Pacer Station fans everywhere, ladies and gentlemen. Again, sorry for the hiatus, ladies and gentlemen. It's been about a week or so since we dropped the video. Haven't dropped the video since before the playoff series against Miami, and today we're going to go ahead and recap the series. Obviously, didn't go how we expected, even close to how, at least how I expected. I did not expect a sweep. I thought this year could possibly be the change in the playoffs, but of course, as we see, McMillan gets swept once again. 3-16 in the playoffs as a Pacers head coach. Yeah, and we'll get to McMillan in the next video, but for this video, we're going to talk about this recap of the series. How do you feel about how the series went, Coach Jay? And do you bring any optimism out for the team based off the series, from young players to bench players, anything at all?
Well, you definitely saw the holes in our system as a whole. I just thought that I didn't think that we did a whole lot of stuff defensively that was wrong. I think we, as you saw in games 3 and 4, we defended the three-point line a little bit better than we had in the first two games. The only difference is in game 3, the Heat just everybody got hot all at once, and I don't care who's on your team. I don't care. If you have a team full of Scottie Pippens and Dennis Rodmans, if your opponent's going to shoot 70% from the three-point line, you're not winning that game no matter who's on your roster. So, but I felt like the defensive adjustments came way too slow. I feel like the defending the three-point shot, that adjustment should have been made after game 1, not going into game 4. The second thing I learned from this series is the Pacers have little to no organization and flow at the offensive end.
And honestly, I don't think that's anything new. I think that's a big reason why a lot of fans have been calling for Nate's firing for a while. But it's just playoffs. Getting swept this much in playoffs is unacceptable with all the talent we have, and even with the assistant coaches. Yeah, like you said, Dan Burke.
Well, and here's the thing about the Pacers coaching staff this is my biggest criticism of Nate McMillan. Championship coaching staffs have clear role. They're just like championship teams. Every person involved in the team at all levels has clear role identification. From what I could tell, the Pacers coaching staff was very redundant. You had Nate McMillan, Billy Bano, and Popeye Jones and Dan Burke, who were all defensive coaches. There was no offensive mind on our staff. And, fans can remember Larry Bird as a coach. The reason that team was so successful was not because of all the veterans. That team was good for a lot of reasons, but the number one reason that team had success was because Bird had the perfect coaching staff for what he was trying to accomplish. He had himself, and his role was to draw up end-of-game situations like that legendary game winner against Michael Jordan and the Bulls. That was a Larry Bird special. But you also had Rick Carlisle, who's obviously, I would argue he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. He's the coach of the Mavericks right now. You had him running the offense, and you had Dick Harder, who was Dan Burke's mentor, running the defense. And Dan Burke was on that staff as well. So there was clear role identification on that staff, and I just thought that I think Nate's coaching staff was single-minded. They were, probably the best defensive staff in the league. But, we're not playing in the mid-'90s anymore. You can't win on defense alone. So whoever the next head coach needs to have I would say they need to have a more experienced coaching staff, and I think they need to have somebody on that staff who is an offensive guru. The other thing that I learned.
Go ahead.
Yeah. The other thing I learned from this series was, our starters are really good players. They're all talented, and you're right. We have way too much talent to be getting swept, even without Sabonis and even without Victor at 100%. I also and the only roster adjustment I would make this summer or this off season, so it's summer now. The only adjustment I would make is I would think about trading away TJ Leaf and maybe Sumner and Alize Johnson, because those guys, we're not at, as a franchise, we're not in the let's get better day by day developing talent stage. We are at the win now stage. And we need, if I were the Pacers, I would trade those guys for whatever you can get for them, preferably assets. And I would replace them with more veterans like Justin Holiday, maybe a Damari Carroll or Luke Bamute. Guys who aren't necessarily going to play big minutes, but guys who can provide leadership and direction in playoff situations.
100%. And I think that a good coach, like you said, we're very talented. A good coach is what I think will put us over the top at this point. You saw Brogdon had a 34 and 14 game. There's a lot of great talent, especially in the starting lineup. Speaking of the starting lineup and people that a lot of fans think we should move on from, though, Miles Turner actually had a decently impressive series. How did you feel about his play throughout the series?
Well, as a whole, not just from the series, but during the regular season, when he and Sabonis were paired together, the Pacers had some success with that lineup. I don't get, you can look at advanced analytics all you want, but the question is, were we winning games and with those two guys in the game? The answer is yes, we were.
A lot of fans are just very absolved in the idea of the small ball lineup. Fans love small ball lineups. They think that the game is moving on from the too big strategy, and I mean it is slowly, but it's not impossible to run a lineup like Domas and Miles as your front court.
Well, this would be my, let me play devil's advocate with that.
Right.
The San Antonio Spurs and Tim Duncan's last year ran a two big lineup with him and LaMarcus Aldridge, who are better interior players than Miles and Domas, but Miles and Domas have 3-point range on their jump shots.
Right.
So, and they won 67 games in NBA rookies defensively. Right. And if you can do those two things, you're a championship team in my mind. And the Oklahoma City Thunder, who beat them in the playoffs, played a two big lineup with Serge Ibaka and Steven Adams.
Right.
So I do think you can win with that. I also think, and the reason I think you can win with that is Miles Turner in this playoff series. The thing I loved watching with him is that he showed a desire to fight and bang in the post. He's never going. Fans need to realize he is never going to be a Joel Embiid. He's just not that kind of guy, and he's not physically that imposing. And to be fair, I don't think on our team he needs to be. That's Sabonis' job.
For as long as Pacers fans have been saying this and that about Miles, I understand some people's frustration with certain parts of Miles' game at times, but there's one thing people can't say, and it's that he doesn't put in effort. He puts in 100% effort, it seems like. And even after the playoff series, hearing him talk about how it's unacceptable to get swept as much as he has, or being in the playoffs 5 times and 5 first-round exits from him, I think he is a hungry player, and I do think his game can flourish as a Pacer. I don't know. I hope him and Domas can work out, and I think it can. I really do think it can. It's all about staying healthy, though, because I'm not sure if Miles by himself in a front court with a guy like a Jakar Sampson or an Alize Johnson is enough.
It's not enough
at all. Right.
And if you really want to see what this team is capable of at the offensive end, just go back and watch the 2014 San Antonio Spurs. The team that dethroned the Miami Heat, who pretty much reinvented small ball. The Miami Heat played a 5-out offense with LeBron James and Dwayne Wade, and they only won 1 game against that team. So the Pacers, I'm not saying they're going to be that good. I'm just saying the Pacers have similar personnel at the offensive end to that Spurs team. Malcolm Brogdon, within our is essentially essentially Danny Green with better handles. Victor Oladipo within our system is a Dwayne Wade level athlete when healthy, who drives downhill like Tony Parker and gets out in the open floor. He within our system, he would be kind of what Tony Parker was for the Spurs. And at the risk of sounding like we did in the bubble, T.J. Warren is not Kawhi Leonard defensively, but offensively his game is very similar. And he would be what Kawhi was. And then you have Miles being more what Tiago Splitter was, which is, a playmaker and a rim protector. And then you have Tim Duncan, who handles the ball in the post. That would be what Domas is.
Domas.
And then off the bench, if you load our bench up with more guys like McDermott and Justin Holiday, who are between 6'5" and 6'7", who can all shoot and play defense. And you start playing, and you play guys like Goga and Aaron Holiday more. Those are the only young guys on our roster that I think we need to keep at this point.
Yes, sir. 100%. I love Goga's potential. I've been hearing. I know so many fans that are on the Goga hype train, and that's another thing I saw fans had a problem with McMillan this year was in regards to Goga's minutes.
I agree with that completely.
100%. Yeah, Goga, I feel like he can blossom into something really good in this league. Like you said, he has all-star potential. I really do think he does. He fits the mold of a modern big man that can succeed in this kind of league, in this kind of atmosphere.
Well, I would argue all three of our big guys fit that description. They all have three-point range. They're all terrific passers, and they can all score inside and out.
100%. I've seen a lot of people. The trade I've heard about for the offseason that I've heard the most from Pacers fans is Miles Turner to New Orleans for Drew Holiday in some kind of capacity, whether it be Miles and a few picks for blah, blah, blah. I've heard so much about the Pelicans thinking Miles Turner's a perfect fit for them and Pacers thinking Drew Holiday's a perfect fit for us. How do you feel about that?
I completely disagree with that. I think Pacer fans at times can get on the Holiday bandwagon train.
Exactly.
But I also but you have to remember Miles Turner is the reason our defense is in the top 10. You take him off the roster and you take his rim protection away, and I would bet you the Pacers would give up 10 or 12 more points than they do now.
100%.
And I think, I was toying with the notion of Aaron Gordon, and I'm honestly getting off that bandwagon a little bit because Turner's shown way more toughness in the playoffs than I was expecting. I was shocked in a good way at how he was attacking the basket, how he wasn't just settling for 3-point shots. I think he should take those 3-point shots when the defense gives him that. But when the defense gives up the short roll, you got a short roll. You can't just sit out there and shoot threes all day. And to be honest with you, I didn't see that from him at all in the bubble. I distinctly remember one of the last games we played before the season was before the hiatus started. We played the Bucks, and I remember he took the Greek freak into the post and shimmied him. So I think Miles Turner is just like any other player who came into the league at 19. It's going to take him time to get used to the physicality and the mental edge that it takes to be successful in the NBA. He's young.
100%.
He's like 23, 24?
Yeah, he's something like that.
Jermaine O'Neal didn't hit his prime with the Pacers until he turned 26. So
100%.
I think as long as he's under a cap-friendly contract that he is, and as long as he is, playing his role and not disrupting our locker room,
right?
I say keep him.
I'm so glad that you said that because I thought I was gonna end up playing devil's advocate and saying I completely disagree with the idea that trade would be good for our team at least. I don't know about New Orleans. I know they are hugely of the belief that Miles Turner is who they need. He's their savior. But I think Pacers fans, like you said, get real caught up in the whole holiday hype. They want to match all three brothers, which is cool and all. It's whatever with the brother hype stuff, but it wouldn't make sense to take that much of a hit to our front court just to add another guard when you got guys like Oladipo and Brogdon already. It just doesn't make sense to me. Honestly, I think Miles should stay. I think he played his way to keeping a spot on the roster.
Absolutely.
During the playoffs, I think he came up and he showed that he's hungry. He wants it. And if you put a guy like Domas alongside him once again, I think it can last for the future. I really do think it can.
Exactly.
However,
And
even
again,
with the injury, even with the Domas injury, if we do have to pick one for the 5 spot, I'm picking Domas point blank. Period. Like I'm nowhere
I
close.
agree with that completely.
Right? Yeah, I'm not anywhere close to saying Miles Turner is up there with Domas. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, but and to be fair, I think fans at times, want to be, they want to pretend like they work for ESPN and start looking up advanced analytics when you really don't understand which analytics to check. The only analytic I'm concerned about as a fan is whether or not they're winning games and whether or not they're playing defense and scoring points. That's all that matters to me.
100%, and that's why I advocated for so long for some fans to chill out on McMillan, because while I saw the same things they did with the adjustments and such, a lot of times, even when he was making bad adjustments, he was winning games. And while we know that was largely due to our talent, and that is the reason he got fired at the end. I told people, you got to calm down, because wins is what matters in the league. You want to win.
And playoff wins are worth more than regular season wins, and that's why the decision was made.
For sure, 100%, absolutely. It just felt like even in the regular season we would be winning games, and fans would still be screaming "Fire Nick McMillan" after the game, even when we beat good teams. And I would understand why, because I see the same things they do as far as the adjustments. Like I said, it's just when a guy's winning, it's hard to say anything. But again, he doesn't win in the playoffs, and that's where it matters most. So that's why we had to get rid of him in the end of the day.
Exactly, no doubt about it.
100%. It was a great recap. It was a great series to watch, even though we got swept. I think Miami can give the Bucks a run for their money. I really do. I can't wait to see the rest of the playoffs, even though the Pacers are out of it. This coaching stuff is going to be a real fun experience. The carousel entering next year. I'm wondering how the players feel about McMillan getting fired. I remember Brogdon tweeting. We'll get to that. We'll get to McMillan in the next video. But Pacer Nation, make sure you guys follow me. Follow us on all social media platforms at Pacer Station. We got a lot of great content coming. Took a week break. Honestly, a lot of things were happening. Things were getting broken. Technology was not working, not cooperating. So, but we're back on track here at Pacer Station. About to have a great, fun off season. Yeah, it was a great recap, Coach Jay. I can't wait for next year. I can't already.
Yeah, I'm super excited too.
100%, man. All right, like I said, Pacer Nation, make sure you follow us at Pacer Station on all social media platforms. Subscribe below. Comment what kind of content you want in the future, and I'll see what I can do about it. So thank you, guys. And even though we got swept, Pacer Nation, we up. Deuces.